Murder House is one of the best retro horror games ever made. From the unique visual styles, to the creepy and eerie setting, to the enjoyable and interesting characters, and most importantly, a horrifying killer. Today, I'm going to be talking about Puppet Combo's Murder House. Murder House was released on October 22nd, 2022 on PC by Puppet Combo's Ben Kalkuza. If you want to learn more about retro game history and Puppet Combo's history, check out my previous video, Why VHS Horror Games Work. Anyways, Murder House was released a year later to consoles on October 14th, 2021. The game was a follow-up to a previous game of Puppet Combo's, Babysitter Bloodbath, which was about a babysitter being terrorized by a masked killer. See the similarities? On release, the game was met with a lot of good reviews and support. As of recording this video, the game has a 96% on Steam and has an all-time overwhelmingly positive review. Enough with all of this hype, let's move to the gameplay. The gameplay sticks true to older survival games like Silent Hill and Resident Evil. You have to solve puzzles, explore different areas, collect and scavenge limited items, and sometimes even fight the killer. This type of gameplay has been done thousands of times, but in this game, it still works. I also like the small details they added, like having the Resident Evil style animation of opening doors. It really adds to the retro feel of the game. The game uses fixed camera angles and tank controls. They are very hard to use and to get used to, but that adds to the fun and horror of it. Meeting the Easter Ripper face to face and not being able to run away from him is part of the experience of the game. I also want to mention saving in this game. The only way you can save is by finding pencils around the house, entering the small room that is below the stairs, and saving. There is no autosave or menu save. If you died an hour ago and didn't save, too bad. It makes the game 100 times harder and adds to the intensity of the game. However, you can always rely on the safe room. Do you know why? It's cause it's the only place the killer can't come into and kill you straight away. The room is special as it is the only place you can relax and compose your thoughts. I had to enter this room just to calm down and to figure out my next couple of moves the first time I played. The room was just so comfortable and cozy, and even with this very chill and relaxing music, it helped you forget about the horrors that were happening in this house and that the fucking bunny is chasing you and trying to kill you. After the banging Puppet Combo intro finishes, you take control of a boy named Justin at a photo shoot on Easter of 1986. You sit on the Easter Bunny's lap and take a cute and totally not creepy photo together. Many hours later, you wake up in a photo booth. You wander the mall looking for your parents and realize that you fell asleep and the entire mall is closed. The dream for a child. You wander the mall looking for an exit, and after finding a key, use it to unlock the door and enter a very eerie long hallway. You wander through the desolate hallway, and at the end, a huge Easter bunny with a sickle pulls up and forces you to retreat and hide in a bathroom stall. The Easter Ripper enters and checks a few stalls before leaving. You exit the bathroom and further explore the area. You reach the staff resting room where you find the janitor named Jack. If he seems familiar to you, it's because it's Jacksepticeye. You explain to the janitor what happened, and the janitor tells you to stay in the office while he goes to investigate. As you stay in the office and patiently wait, the lights suddenly go off. You quickly hide under the desk as there is nothing else you can do in the small room. Footsteps are heard outside the office. It is one of the scariest parts of the game, as you're forced to sit there and listen to the footsteps near the door. You can't see anything, so when the Easter Ripper jump scares you, you really don't expect it, even though you do. You know that there will be a jump scare, but you don't know when. Sitting there and waiting for him to do something was so scary the first time I played. Even now, replaying the game, I got scared. The sound design is also immaculate. The footsteps sound realistic, and when the radio music cuts out, you have nothing to console you in this moment of desperation and loneliness. The title card plays and the real game begins. It is 1988 and the local news crew arrives at the abandoned house of Anthony Smith with the intention of shooting a story about him. Here, you meet the very cliche cast of characters. We have Gary, who's the mean boss guy, Dana, who is the sassy bitch that is always mean to the protagonist and is always complaining about something.
Looks like we're here.
Ew, this place? I can't believe I went from the news desk to this.
And Tom, who is apparently the only normal guy and who's not always being mean to you. You take control of Emma, the nerdy girl who's an intern working with these bozos. You will notice very early on that this whole game is very cliche, but not too serious. The character dialogue is funny, and there are certain moments that will definitely make you laugh. Her boss, Gary, instructs us to find a way into the house as the real estate agent isn't there to let us in. You explore the house and get inside via a basement window. You unlock the doors from the inside and are told by Gary to bring in the equipment. You do so, but because there is no power, Gary tells us to find a way to bring the power back on. While searching the house, you catch glimpses of a small child running through the hallways. You hallucinate the crew lying dead on the floor, but brush it off. All of this is definitely pointless and is definitely not foreshadowing. You fix the fuse box and return to the living room where the crew shoots the first segment of the story. After shooting, the crew get a break and move to the basement where they shoot the second segment. To make it more interesting, Gary instructs you to put a blanket on and run past Dana to make it seem like it's a ghost. This is one of those moments that just made me burst into laughter and question what the fuck am I even doing in this game. After shooting the segment, the crew get another break and Gary instructs you to go to the van and order them a pizza. After stepping outside, you find the van destroyed and the note left on the van that says, "Nowhere to go now. Looks like we'll be playing a game. You'll be hunting eggs, I will be hunting you." You run back inside and tell Gary what happened. Gary assumes it was the real estate agent for some weird fucking reason. He insists that they must continue shooting and instructs you to find Tom. When you find him in the basement, Tom tells you that he's aware of what's happening and gives you a key he found. You return upstairs and see Dana covered in blood begging for help. The Easter Ripper appears behind her and brutally murders Dana by decapitating her before attacking you. You run to the attic, unlock it, and hide there. From now on, you will always feel this uneasy feeling that someone is watching and following you. Every time you enter a room, you expect him to be there, waiting for you. Sometimes he is. You search through the house while avoiding the killer and find Dana's severed head on the table and an egg stuffed in her mouth. You hesitantly take the death egg. All of the eggs that you find, you place in the basket as it's part of the Easter Ripper's game. After unlocking certain doors, Gary appears and tells you to help him find a way out of here. Sadly for him, the Easter Ripper shows up behind him and disembowels his fat ass while you hide under the bed. The killer exits the room, leaving Gary's corpse on the floor. You go to the attic where you replace the bulb with a black bulb you found. The new bulb reveals old, dried blood coming from the wardrobe. You remove the wardrobe, revealing a dumbwaiter. You use it and it takes you to the part of the basement where the killer kept and abused his victims. This is a really messed up place that even now I find really creepy and unsettling. Finding skeletons of old children curled up into a ball, reading their diaries and seeing how the killer tortured them. It took me out of the game because of how dark it was. You exit the room and find Tom's smashed camera in the kitchen and take the VHS tape out of it. You start having nightmarish hallucinations such as the giant head of the Easter Ripper with spider legs chasing you through the halls. You insert the tape into the VHS player, which reveals Tom being attacked by the Easter Ripper and the killer hiding something inside the piano. You find the piano and based on the note that was left by one of the children, you play the piano in the correct order and unlock it, revealing an egg inside. You further explore the rooms and using the rope that you found in the basement, you overturn the wardrobe, revealing a large hole leading to the bathroom where you find the corpse of a real estate agent in the bathtub. You also find an egg in his mouth and collect it. Returning back to the previous rooms, you find Gary hanging by a chain with his stomach ripped open and the final egg inside, which you take and put in the basket. Now, with all the eggs in the basket, you yell for the Easter Ripper to let her go. In the basement, you find that one of the doors that was previously locked is now open and you go inside. You enter a corridor that leads to the stairs. You climb up and enter the greenhouse. The Easter Ripper appears before you and slowly takes off his mask, revealing himself to be Tom. Yeah, remember how I said that he's the only normal one out of the group? Yeah, scratch that. He reveals to you that he is the actual killer who will avenge his brother Anthony Smith, who turned himself in to save him from prison time. You are then thrown into a boss fight where you have to shoot at Tom with the guns that you have scavenged while playing. The fight was pretty hard as I could never get the perfect angle to blast him with my shotgun due to the fixed camera angles. The tense music also didn't help it make any easier. After a long fight, Tom drops to the ground and passes out from the wounds. As everything seems to be finally over, Tom unexpectedly stands up and yells that he can't die because he is the Easter Ripper. The ground suddenly starts shaking and all of the victims he had killed rise from the ground and attack Tom and start tearing him apart as you run away from the greenhouse. As you escape, a large flash of light appears in the greenhouse. The game then ends and the credits start rolling. Many people might think that this is the end of the game, however, there is an extended ending. The credits stop and the director says cut, revealing all of this to just be a part of a movie. The actress that played Emma talks with the director about how stupid the ending is, then goes around the house and talks to each actor and crew member about filming. As she is about to leave the house, she realizes that she dropped her car keys. She finds the car keys in the basement, unlocks her car and drives away from the property while the rest of the crew are partying at the house. As she is driving, the camera slowly moves towards the trunk of the car, revealing the real Easter Ripper hiding. That's the real ending. Many people were confused about what this meant. I think that they were filming a movie about the Easter Ripper, something like a documentary or a movie inspired about his killings. But in reality, he was never killed and Emma is doomed. This ending also makes sense as all of this was just a movie that connects to the idea of this game and the theme being a stereotypical 80s slasher movie. I can also commend the game for having an awesome build-up. You arrive without suspecting anything until you are faced with a letter that basically says you are fucked. 2 minutes later, one of your coworkers is decapitated in front of you. It's executed perfectly. The only thing I would have liked there to be more of in this game was background and explanation for the killer. Why did he kill all of those children? Was it mental illness? Was it something else? Although I can't really expect a lot of intense lore from this type of campy and cheesy horror game. I think that's all with the story, so let's briefly transition to the atmosphere. If the only thing that this game would have had was its gameplay, it would have failed. What makes this game special is its environment and atmosphere. I first want to mention the sound design and music and how much they add to the experience in the game. The music makes the game much tenser, even if nothing is happening. For example, when you're outside and find a wrecked car and note, the music gets very tense and makes it seem like he's going to strike at any moment. All of the sound effects are very rigid, things like turning on the faucet and screwing on the fuse. It all adds to the feeling that the house is old and decaying. I also really appreciate the amount of customization in this game. You can change everything about the game. You can change, add, or even remove the VHS filters, and you can even change between tank controls and first person, although first person takes away from a lot of the horror. Murder House is a fantastic retro game that perfectly balances horror, comedy, and immersion through its unique visuals, sound design, and controls. If you haven't played this game before, please check it out. It's available on PC and all major consoles. I hope that you enjoyed this video.